Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and beer. I'm Ben, and I'm here with Lucy.
Hi.
And Adel.
Hey!
I wondered how long you're going to keep that going, Lucy. Just
Not
5
long.
minutes late.
I
Couldn't be
really
bothered.
like that it was like a quick crackle and fade.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. So, we're going to talk about games, we're going to drink some beers. Let's get some beers open. I'm very thirst quenched. I'm going to open collaboration beer from Dry and Bitter and Verdant Brewing Company called How Magnets Work. It's an IPA with a little bit of flavour text, holding the universe together, attracting and repelling like an owl to its fleeing prey. That's how magnets work. Together with our friends at Verdant, we have brewed a big IPA, Idaho 7 and, oh, too much condensation, Brew 1 hops, BRU-1, and the now classic Citra and Simcoe hops are magnetised to a mass of lush oats and wheat. Ingredients-wise, it just says water, malted barley, wheat, oats, hops, yeast. Obviously gives me a little bit of information on the hops in the flavour text. It is 6.6%, and it's got a lovely picture of a moth or some kind of...
That's like penguin.
Looks like an owl.
I mean, yeah.
It's a Rorschach, is what it is,
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
It's some kind of animal.
Yeah, who knows? I'm going to open it. Lucy, what are you
Yes. I'm drinking a Deya.
drinking? Ooh, nice.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to drink it. Nobody else gets to share this enjoy. It's called Clouds That Shape Themselves. It's a 6% IPA. Juicy IPA, brewed in our house style. Unfiltered, unpasteurized, unfined, naturally soft, hazy and juicy. That's pretty much it. 500ml can. Got a nice little dog on the front. Like a,
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. Nice.
But anyway, this has been sitting out for just about the right amount of time, so probably around that 7 degrees.
Okay.
I'm probably looking for. So yeah, I'm just going to drink it and stop talking.
Nice.
Half an hour.
Crack on. Adel, what are you drinking?
I'm double checking. I am drinking the last two beers from that lovely box sent to me by Michael in Vienna.
Oh, yeah.
It is, they've been sandbagging them for a couple weeks. It is the Hofbrau Kaltenhausen Keller beer. And I can tell you, it has some Austrian in it. On it, its malts notes are 2 out of 5. Its Hopfen aroma are also 2 out of 5. Its bitterness is a 2 out of 5, and its spritzigkeit, I think its bubbliness, is a 2 out of 5.
Brilliant.
Show you these icons.
A really good
That's
2 out of
impressive.
5 beer.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And it is a 4.8% something or other.
It's probably a lager, let's say.
I don't know. A lager is usually more than 2 out of 5 bubbles.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
good 4
yeah.
out of 5 usually.
So, good. There are beers. How do they taste? So, this Dry and Bitter is going back far too easily. Dry and Bitter and Verdant collab, sorry. Has a nice light nose. A little bit of fruit on there. Maybe a little bit of orange in the nose. But the taste has got this lovely dankness to it. And I find that with a lot of Dry and Bitters beers, is they really get that dankness across. You know, it's a little bit kind of green. It's a little bit weedy in what I'm getting. It's definitely got a little bit of orange in there, maybe a little bit of pineapple as well. It's very feels very light, even though that dankness is there. There's this kind of ease to it all. You know, the fruit is quite sort of sweet. You know, it's not a stewed fruits kind of flavour that goes into a dankness. It's almost a little bit more sweet, and then sort of that dank kind of flavour to it. A little orangey, sort of almost under the light, almost a bit kind of like very strong squash, orange squash almost. But this is really, really easy and really nice. Can't tell at all that it's 6.5, 6.6%. 6.6%, yeah. Not getting that on the beer whatsoever, which is good. I mean, it's so easy and it's nice and fruity. It's lovely dankness to it. I don't know why you would drink anything else really ever again. Done. That's it.
Excellent.
Unless it's a Deya beer, Lucy.
I feel the same way. Why drink anything else? Everything else tastes like swill compared to Deya.
Nice.
It's. I think Friday was the last time I had a beer. Been to work, been to the gym. This is all I want in life. It's good. If you couldn't tell.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really light body, like really soft as well. Just goes down way too quickly, too easily. But it's got like a lot of hoppiness. You can feel like the effervescence on your top lip as you drink it. That's the only thing that's just made me not slump back into my chair and just relax and just chill out. It's like it's got that hoppiness, that really, really, really strong hoppiness. It's like ooh. But yeah, it's a nice citrusy, like a bit of lemon, bit of orange. Yeah, it's just perfectly well balanced beer. It's got like a nice little bit of bitterness on the end as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Putting the bit in bitterness.
Yeah, and it's got that signature Deya yeast, which is just made by cherubs.
Nice.
It's the yeast just scraped off of cherubs right into the boil.
Nice. Very impressed then.
That's my ringing endorsement.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Before
because it's been a while since I had Deya.
Fair enough. Before I tell you what this beer tastes like, I'm going to tell you what type of beer it is, because I found out. It's a Keller beer. It said so on the bottle. It's a type of German beer, which is typically neither clarified nor pasteurized. Keller beer can be either top or bottom fermented. It literally translates as cellar beer, referring to its cool lagering temperatures. Its recipe probably dates to the Middle Ages. It contains more of its original brewing yeast, as well as vitamins held in suspension than modern beers. As a result, it's distinctly cloudy and described by German producers as Naturtrüb. It's often served directly from a barrel and may be bottled as well, but because it isn't pasteurized, it's rather perishable, so it's best to drink it as fresh as possible. So naturally, it's a beer I let sit in my fridge for an extra 2.5 weeks. It is quite cloudy, considering how light it is. Like, I know my room's got a bit of a yellowy tint that I think I've tried to fix the white levels on, but like it's like a lemon yellow sort of yellow, and it's clearish but cloudy. I think cloudy is a good idea. It's not opaque, but you like my finger, you still can't really, well, maybe can I? Yeah, you can kind of see if the light wasn't behind me, like the shadow of my finger. But that's it, right? It's definitely cloud versus opaque. It smells light citrusy, kind of sharp, but pretty light. So it's a distinct note, but it's not like in your face.
Cool.
It is, I would say, a 2 out of 5 of bubbliness, even though there was quite a bit of head on the palate. Like it's not that bubbly. It does, I think, have sort of light citrusy lager notes without the sort of nuttiness that often accompanies them. So it's really light. I would almost class it as delicate.
Ooh, is it 2 out of 5?
You'll find out at the end of the episode. It's nice. It's refreshing. It's got quite light finish, but it lasts a little longer than you'd expect, given that it's just sort of kind of light and inoffensive. I'm less neutral on the inoffensive side. It's what it does is interesting. It's just not very strong in any sense of the word. But that's okay. I mean, if that's what you're looking for. I will say the bitterness when everything else wears away, the bitterness sort of has a brief flash of like, oh yeah, it's here, it's bitter. Before that also fades away. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had a killer beer before. I definitely didn't recognize it as a type. It's interesting. I see why it's more about the storage than the and the yeast than sort of whether it's made like a lager or an ale. It's quite tasty, but
Nice.
Like, oh, to be honest, if I wanted a light beer, this is what I would mean, not like a light beer that like the mass producers call, which are just piss water.
Yeah.
Piss water.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the name of the beer in GTA? Piss water.
Pisswasser, I think it was. Yeah. Oh, what a good segue into games, Lucy.
Hey.
Well done. We'll come to you first then, Lucy. What are you bringing to chat about this week?
Oh yeah, that's it. Etherborn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I played that.
Yeah, we played that. Well, I finished it. Adil, you've got a few levels in.
Yeah, a few.
To be fair, it's not a long game, which some people say to its detriment. I would be like, oh, I like short games.
Yeah.
But even so, I did feel like it did cut off a bit sharply. I was like, oh, even I was surprised because I knew it was a short game going into it, but even I was surprised just how quickly it ended. But we'll get into that a bit later. But yes, Adil, it is a 3D puzzle game.
Puzzle platformer?
Puzzle platformer, yeah.
I mean,
I'd say it's mostly platformer.
Yeah.
The puzzles revolve around traversal mainly because it's like is it MC Escher? That's the name they do.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. It's about perspective and like basically if you're on these like little, most of the time these like, for lack of a better term, like these little moons or like small 3D shapes that you need to walk around. But like if it's a sharp edge, you'll fall off. But if it's a ramp, then that means you'll wrap around and then suddenly you're upright on the next level. And sometimes, so it's basically a lot of platforming and puzzling on trying to navigate to get to the end goal with a certain amount of things.
Yeah, you collect like little orbs, and you have to put the orbs onto platforms, and then those will lower barriers or open up new areas. And yeah, that's pretty much the crux of the game. It doesn't really change that much from start to end. So it is very much centered around that whole traversal mechanic. I really enjoyed it. I'm surprised nobody's really done this much more. I think a game called The Bridge was something similar. It definitely had that MC Escher, that kind of style, and messed with perspective and being upside down one second and then being upright the next. But yeah, it's not something that you'd think it more. Indie developers would do it, but it's not really seen that much. But
do you know what it reminds me of? And I know I've spoken about this, like 100 odd episodes ago, which was one of the first PSN games, Ecochrome.
Yeah, I thought you was going to mention that.
Yeah, I mean, in Ecochrome, it was much more about like the camera perspective and like lining up elements so it looks like they connected from your perspective even when there was a gap, or drawing a hole such that you fall down onto another platform. So it's much more like a traditional platformer, but the key was you were moving the camera. And this is like, okay, modern platformers tend to have these worlds and you're not so much, the camera isn't, you're the person, and what if you were doing the moves around such that the perspective changes how things go. But it's very much in that idea of sort of lining things up and thinking about the structure of the world you're in. Yeah. It's like, in this case, it's like, where are the transition points so I can solve the puzzle?
Yeah.
How do I get over here? Like, I see a glowing orb over here. I'm over here, and I have to jump over a thing. But before that, in order to jump on that thing, I need to be on the right sort of flat surface of the thing above it, such that it counts as a jump where because when the perspective changes, the gravity also changes. So if I'm on the top of the thing and then I take a ramp down to the side of the thing, now if I walk off that side, I'm going to fall sideways, not downwards. Does that make sense?
So it's not just a case in like, so I've kind of got a picture of kind of like the scene in Labyrinth in my head where Jared's got the baby and Sarah's trying to chase him through, and he walks up the stairs, and then he just kind of rotates around and goes back underneath them and is able to then just... So is it like that, or does it kind of... Does the whole perspective, as you kind of change, does everything kind of shift with you, or is there some kind of... What do you have to do to get that transition onto a different sort of plane?
Well, as Adil said, it's usually when it's a curved surface. So picture you just... It is... Well, it's 3D. It's a very, like, you're very zoomed out from the levels. It is a very, like, you're not playing from, like, a first-person point of view. It's a third-person, like, you're playing this little, it's very ethereal kind of, like, looking person that's got...
You're basically a white stick person with a little more depth.
Yeah, with, like, you can see, like, the circulatory system. I think that's part of the narrative. I'll get into the narrative later. But anyway, you've seen it from like quite a zoomed out play. So you can see that, and you can see like most of the level. So it's like it is. I wouldn't say it's quite puzzle boxy. It's a bit more zoomed in than that. But it's a lot. Oh, I can see where things are, and I can see where these ramps these ramps are in order to change planes and levels. Go on that curved ramp and then have a different gravitational pull. So it's very hard to explain. I think Adil did a good job at the start, but it's because I've played it. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds right. But if you haven't played it, you probably might have to watch
I can't
a trailer. But you instantly get it.
Yeah, sure. So the big thing is, I can't remember if Jared had dropped the baby in that scene in Labyrinth, would it have fallen to the stair he was on or fallen down from the general perspective? And so the big move that we're trying to describe is whatever is locally the ground to you is the direction you'll fall as you move through these planes or around these objects. And so that sort of second or third level becomes really important to figure out how to move between sort of the floating boxes. I know they're not boxes, but there's a waterfall. How do you fall and get the orb on the way down without falling to your death? You have to figure out the angle the plane you can move from top to bottom on. That's how, and hit that sort of spot where the thing is. And so a lot of, at least the early part of the game, is just working out where these transitions are, where the orbs are, and how you can, and pathing. Yeah, and the trickier parts, at least after first when they introduced the jumps, it was like, shit, wait, what? Because of course, I mean, that's why I think exploring was really helpful, because it's easier to visualize like, okay, this is a drop from here to here when you're actually up on sort of the top that makes that drop make sense. While when you're just sort of looking at the structure, like, I have no idea how to get there, and I'm not. I don't immediately see that I could wrap around this part and then drop down. Like it's enough moving parts in the sense of like variables rather than actual moving parts. It's a bad metaphor. That it at least triggered some like moving around rather than, because like you do see a lot of it from that camera angle from the start. So it could potentially have been okay, this is just a series of things I have to do, but there's enough things that you don't immediately see the line.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's got a nice looking art style. Music's pleasant enough. There was, I think they're trying to tell an overall narrative that was quite abstract and heady that I wasn't too interested in, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean,
it didn't keep me playing the game.
Yeah, it's like the puzzles is what I'm looking for in a game like this. And, it's only achieved that very well because yes, the puzzles were, I think I played it mostly in probably one sitting, so the puzzles were engaging enough and interesting enough, and it was just fun. Like you know, banging your head against the wall. It's like, how do I get to that orb? And, you know, figuring it out. And just like, oh, I have to go here and then activate this platform, and then that'll move there, and then I can run across that plane and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really nice puzzle game. I mean, if you're one of those people, no, I shouldn't say one of those people. If you're concerned about, oh, I want to get as much bang for my buck, then maybe I think this is probably about £11 from what I can remember.
Just double checking that now.
Yeah, we kindly got sent codes from the publisher and developers, Altered Matter. But yeah, it's probably about, I probably spent about 3-4 hours with it.
Yeah.
As I said, I was a bit surprised how quickly and abruptly it ended. It's like, oh, I could have done with, you know, a few more of these worlds. I think there's about 5 in total.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah. So
that's the furthest I've gone in a game in ages.
Yeah. You're well past halfway, probably. So,
it's currently 14.24.
14.24. Okay. But yeah, it's fun. It's. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm glad also that it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it could have went on for a bit longer. But hey, short games. I like short games.
Yeah.
Short games. But yeah.
The one thing I did sort of get a little frustrated with, which was the camera.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it gives you this idea that you could. So, the first level is quite small. And so it's really easy to sort. So, like I just said, like what I liked about the sort of middle levels, the last ones I played, was that even if you saw everything, you wouldn't immediately see the path. But also, I didn't like the camera is kind of restrictive. Like it's really doesn't give you a lot of options of movement. It doesn't rotate that much. It's kind of.
I don't know if that's by design, so as to get you exploring and looking around.
It didn't feel like that because, like, even on the first level, it was kind of like, like you could only kind of shift so much, even when the game is trying to show you you can do this other thing. It felt really restrictive because it's like I don't want to be because you're triggering me to explore in an interesting way. I don't want to feel trapped in exploring because that's detracting from this good move you've done, and it really does.
I remember now. Yeah, because I finished it a few weeks ago. I remember now that there was, you just wanted the camera to give just a little bit more, and yeah, it seemed like it hit its periphery too early. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Do you think they did that on purpose?
Yeah, because I'm trying to, because it was definitely an issue for me at some point. I can't remember if in the later levels that made sense. I can't remember. Honestly, can't remember. It's been a few weeks and a few games since then. So, but yeah, I remember that being an issue. But maybe play through a bit more of it and maybe evaluate your opinion. Maybe you're right. I can't remember, but yeah, it controls well otherwise. And in a game that's doing, you know, these things in like a 3D space, the camera works on the whole. It may be a little restrictive, but it's not all over the place. Oh, that's good.
What did you both play it on?
Switch.
Which is a perfect platform for it.
Oh, I was just saying, it's great. And like even on the small screen of the Switch and the zoomed out perspective, you never lost track of what thing was or where you are. It's it's a great little Switch game. Now
everything's been on the Switch.
I can't remember. We started doing a thing with Steam reviews a few months ago. Was it looking at the bad ones and talking about them? Is that what it was? Right, yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure before I'm like, and then this happened, because I actually brought up some Steam reviews.
Nice.
First of all, it's there are not a lot of reviews. It's a small game, though.
People probably played it on Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't a game that jumps out. Oh dear. So there is
no bad reviews.
Oh, there are definitely bad reviews. Although one of them is really funny.
God.
The one is by user Noah, who says 27 minutes to finish the game.
Oh,
And
well,
then-
Noah's very clever.
And then the developer responds with, "Hi, sorry you didn't like the game. However, half an hour is really not the normal completion time for a first timer at all. As you need to know every single solution and shortcuts by heart to complete it in that time, then 27 minutes is really odd to us since not even the best speedrunners we've seen get to that mark. Did you maybe follow a walkthrough speedrun video or find some kind of bug or something? Please leave us a message if you want to talk about this."
Did you respond?
Brilliant.
Oh, and I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's a great response. You guys are awesome.
Because that's if you're a savant, then maybe, but or a developer who made the game,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not gonna finish this in half. Couple hours. I mean, yeah, I'd say 2 hours minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, so so there's a couple of long ass ones.
Just pick the.
You just crib
main.
crib the main points.
Yeah.
Mm,
I'll This person says, I don't recommend it for the following reasons, and I'll just gloss over, but number one is fixed perspective. Which isn't actually true.
it's not a fixed one. No. You have free movement over the camera.
Yeah, I mean, you
This
don't have a
is-
lot of movement, but this is my complaint, but in a dumb way. So they said, in fact, the fixed perspective is kind of confusing. It's obvious that everyone can turn around to look at her back in reality, while in Etherborn it's impossible or takes a lot of effort to observe what is behind the avatar. What?
I can't see what's behind my back.
It
I was
takes
just
me
like-
a lot of effort to see
Yeah.
what's...
I'm
I was gonna say-
not an owl.
I was like, this is why I said, what? Because that's not true.
Let's
And
move
also, yeah.
just for our video viewers, how far around can you turn your head? Not very far.
For our I was just say for our video viewers, like everyone else does. You're saying our audio viewers are too dumb to understand. We don't know how to. We can't look at their back. Man, that's not
No,
how
it's
you
a very
make.
visual. It's a very visual thing to see how far I can turn my neck around.
So-
Ben's head is rotating on 360 like Emily Rose. It's the Exorcist. Cool.
Okay, so there are 5 points, but that's okay. Second one was confusing control because of the fixed perspective, which I don't think.
It's
is
not
fixed.
Resident Evil. No.
Yeah, for a player without a handle like me. Wait, for player without a handle like me, I'll feel frustrated to control the avatar with just WASD. Without a handle?
Does he mean controller?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something's auto-corrected, perhaps.
I can
Yeah,
change.
probably.
Usually, I can change my perspective with the mouse. However, the mouse is useless. Oh, I think someone's got an input problem then, because there's no
Yeah.
way there's no camera.
Either just because you use WASD with camera.
Yeah. Meaningless wandering. I must complain about the meaningless long corridor in both level section and inside the level. It wastes my time.
It's not really that long, mate.
Yeah, I was just saying. It's so the main story bit for Ben and the listeners' edification is like you're going up this weird tree and you're you're going up a weird branch and unlocking another path up the tree, basically. Roughly.
Okay.
And so like between levels, you have to walk up the path and then choose to enter level 2.
It takes less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It takes longer to open a door in God of War than it does to.
I was going to say, do you think they complained about having to run around that little loop in God of War when you went
Right.
through the
Oh
fucking...
god. Yeah.
whatever it's fucking called.
They probably threw their
Went between
PlayStation out the
realms,
window.
I've got to be
This
here for
person
like
is-
30 seconds.
So this is mostly just reading this for making fun of the other person. They also were like lack of contents. Only 5 levels. 5 levels to support your I do not know what it is about story. Too few contents for the price. Also, the story for the game is just painting the lily. A good
So,
story for.
euphemism?
It sounds like it.
I think they mean gilding the lily. A good story should lead player to reveal the aim of the game. However, the story is totally unrelated to the content. So that's subjective.
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly agree with those points. It is very short. You know, the story's very abstract.
Yeah.
But as I say, these are
standard things.
I mean, when you're leaving a review, then yes, maybe you should. I won't get into the whole Steam reviews, user reviews things. But if you're leaving for a review, then yes, and you're leaving feedback for players who are looking to pick this up, then yes, they're absolutely right. They just weren't sticking points for me.
Yeah. And the last thing they said was, which I find hilarious. Long animation after each interaction. Each time I interact with light balls, I have to stop to wait for finishing watching some animations trying to demonstrate what has changed. It is such a short
game
animation.
Design. But it's like yes, this over you've action reaction. Yes, you've interacted with this. Therefore, the game needs to show you what it did.
And it's literally like the ball comes off the ground and like spins around you and shrinks, and then just sort of is over your shoulder or something like that.
Yeah, but
and smaller.
I think that's talking about like
it's like a 2 second or less, not even like animation.
But it's like so it's like hitting a switch in any game or something like that, and then not showing you what actually happened. Just like, oh, I hit a switch. What did that do? The camera doesn't pan over to see the door lift up. It's like, nah, I just
I've also decided that this segment is now called Steam Down.
It's getting steamy in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was a good idea in practice, maybe not for.
I mean, so I purposely, I purposely
you picked the most.
I personally picked this specific bad review because it touched on things we had spoken about, but was also a bad Steam review because it's a Steam review. But I mean, so I think the consensus. So they obviously had some controller issue for the first 2 points. It took me a second to figure out. They somehow the mouse wasn't doing what it should do. But the other points are similar, right?
I mean, people do like good Steam reviews. They're just hard to get to because like I was just looking at there's this game called Dark, and it's like I've seen that game for like last few months, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, oh, it came out.
Was that Dark with a Q?
And all the reviews are just like, oh, they didn't sell out to Epic. Oh, this game's great, and it's like,
oh, for fuck's sake, really?
I just want to know what the game is. You know, I just want to know what it's.
Do you think Epic's going to every indie developer? Do you think? I guarantee you, if they could have, they probably
they got enough money to.
Yeah, but I'm like saying they didn't sell out to Epic, so this is great. It's like presuming they had a chance to sell out and chose up.
Well,
they did.
Epic
did.
Dark, Supposedly, they were the developer was approached. It's like one guy as well that developed it over a few years. He was approached by Epic and he said, "Yeah, I'd love to have it on your store, but I don't want it to be exclusive." And supposedly from a post that the developer brought out, he said as soon as he'd said he didn't want to be exclusive, I don't know the exact wording. I'm massively paraphrasing or pulling from kind of what I've heard. They turned around and said, "Well, maybe you can't be on our store, or you won't be sort of prominent on our front page or something." The idea that if they don't sign up, that they're kind of stifling the developer or putting sort of blocks in their way, so maybe they're not quite as successful on the store sort of thing. It's either us or kind of nothing type thing.
There's a big difference. You're not allowed versus we won't highlight you on the store, because I mean, if I was running a store, I would put my front page as my exclusives.
Yes,
I mean, it's a tone.
I
would say, but also the tone of making that explicit is strong arming regardless.
Yeah, I think it was a case of like they said, oh, if you come to our store, you can't go to Steam, and that was it. And he chose Steam over that because he had already announced the release date, and he was like,
I mean, that's right.
I want
And
to
he
keep
said
my
that
word.
it
I
was
want to be
Steam.
genuine.
Yes.
I mean,
and
that's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem with that, and I have no problem if people take, the inverse of that if you're taking the deal. It's just the fact that I just want to see a genuine review that isn't, screw Epic. It's like, for God's sake, people.
You might want to know what
the game actually is.
Yeah.
The game could be ass, but I wouldn't know because it's got like overwhelmingly positive reviews, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this is helpful. This is," because you can vote, you can review a review. Is this helpful? Is this funny?
Oh yeah, I mean,
and
this is
everything's
why.
helpful
It's
because
basically why I'm tickled by using Steam reviews at this particular point in time.
I do find some of them useful though. Like I want to know what this game
but
is.
also, like, unless it's like
But it's
one of these
usually small
controversial
again.
games, I find the very positive and like 2,000 reviews like is a good indicator that this game I'm interested in, I should look further into. Versus if it's mixed or negative. Well, if it's negative, I don't trust that it hasn't been review bombed. If it's mixed, I will actually look down in the reviews, and then within, like, I would say less than 5 minutes, you get a sense for what's going on.
Yeah, you usually get a sense even before going to Steam if you're going to like the game or what it's about. But just for that extra, more granular detail.
Yeah,
some
like
people
things like
generally
the
write
camera's
useful
kind of annoying, and and some people will be okay with that, and some people really won't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's sort of rounds out quite a good chat on Etherborn and a little bit on Steam versus Epic. Seems like every conversation could be linked in with that we're ever going to have. So let's have another beer and then let's talk about
LinkedIn
Steam versus Epic. We're not going to talk about that. Let's just
we're going to take this moment to announce the Tanked Up store. Not the Out of Live store, but the Tanked Up store, which will only serve exclusives with a 50% to developer and 50% to us, and we will do none of the marketing or any of the hosting or anything because we don't have the infrastructure. But it's a better deal for you.
Not really. Epic offer 88%, not 50.
Yeah, but think of all the bad publicity they'd get by going to Epic.
True.
Also, but we're indie. We're so indie it hurts.
Why can't I sign a deal with Epic?
Yeah.
I don't have a game, but I'd like some money.
Oh shit, man! We should approach them to be the official podcast of the Epic Store.
Shall we?
We talk about them enough.
You want to be doxxed?
Yeah, after I've had my criticisms of them, we're just about to tell them to go into the archive. It's fine. I will happily say the Epic Game Store is a fully fleshed out, amazing store on the internet. If they reverse a dump truck of money to my front door,
it's got all the features you need, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other stores are just over encumbered with features. Obviously,
it's like
to be fair, it has games that you can buy and then download.
Fez is free now.
Yeah, it is. Celeste and Inside next month.
Yeah. You know what's great? That I own all these games and then I don't have to play them again.
But it does bring up a kind of an important conversation about that we've had previously, like about digital libraries and things like that, and actual ownership and stuff. And why wouldn't you take all of the free games just in case one of your other libraries kind of crashed? But we won't talk about that now. We're going to talk about this.
They're all getting downloaded.
I mean, to be fair, so now I'm getting the point where there are games that I didn't that I bought even though I knew I wouldn't play because a little peer pressure FOMO. Then got for free on the Humble Bundle, regretted the purchase, and now I'm getting for free on the Epic Store. It's like, okay, so 6 to 8 months after it comes out, if it's sort of a darling, I'll get it on Humble, and a year later I'll get it on Epic. Apparently, like that's.
Well, I don't think so. I think Epic are only giving free games away for 2019.
Yeah. What? So after that, they're not giving.
So that will stop. Yeah, I think after the year.
So I think that's what they said. But I suspect it won't be that because they're making such big deals. Like if I were them,
maybe
because I think that's a lot of people are going and hitting get free game and then looking around and maybe buying a thing.
Yeah.
But like if I'm gonna get like Mike Bithel's next game, I'm gonna give away one of his old ones for ramp and keep doing that. Like that's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. I mean that just makes marketing sense.
Yeah,
and if they let go of the free game thing while there's still animosity towards the store, they've fucked up. And they have the coffers, and I think it's a way that they could sell it to developers as like part of the push for your new game will be I'm giving away your old game.
Yeah,
And,
that's
like,
definitely been the case. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be really dumb if they didn't. I get why they said that for 2019, but I don't think it was a definitive stop so much we guarantee we'll give, games away.
I tried playing Hyperlight Drifter on it. It didn't work.
Oh, really?
No, not Hyperlight Drifter. Transistor. I want to play Hyperlight Drifter. Transistor. The control inputs on the controller just stopped working.
Oh shit!
After like 20 minutes. Yeah, I don't.
Is it battery?
No. Something to do with good old PC gaming.
Yep, that thing that I don't do.
It's awful.
I might feel. What did I play? Whatever I played Subnautica on, that might have been Epic Store. And I think that had an issue with me using the control pad, and I used mouse and keyboard in the end, I think.
Really?
So maybe it's on a game. Whereas Hades, I've been using a control pad to play. So maybe it's per game, I guess.
Yeah, and guess where I looked for info?
Steam.
On Steam.
Yeah.
I mean, so Steam
Epic
does
not have any community.
I mean, Steam also does a lot of interesting things now on controller wrapping and input schemes, such that like big picture mode is the primary way to do and configure that, but such that you can have alternate control schemas that aren't necessarily set in the application. They're set before the application because Steam's sort of sitting in the middle. And that's a thing that if you are a PC gamer who uses controllers, is a legitimate set of options that just aren't on other. It's not on GOG, it's not on Origin, it's not on Uplay, right? Like this is a thing that it's easy to forget that Steam is sort of optimized.
It's despite all its negatives, it's a good place to play PC games. Turns.
I prefer Worry games. Fuck PC games. Hey. What are you drinking?
Let's talk
Ben,
about
you
some
cracked the
beers.
beer. Yeah.
Beers. I am drinking a beer from Boundary, and I believe it's called Baron, but their font is got lines underneath O's, and the R's have got crosses through them and things. I believe it's called Baron from Boundary. Boundary is a cooperative brewery owned by its members. The Northern Irish beer scene is growing. We thought that was worth celebrating, so we brewed a dipper with our friends from Condensation. Kill Beer Hut. It's a dipper with milk, sugar, and a 22 grams per litre dry hop of Galaxy, Mosaic, and Citra. And then just at the end it says, boom.
Okay.
It's 8%. There we go. It's 8%. Lucy, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a beer from Cloudwater and White Frontier Brewery. It's a double dry hopped pale ale, which was brewed in collaboration with our friends White Frontier from Martigny, Switzerland. As a twist on their own hazy pale ale, FWT. Don't know what FWT stands for. It's brewed to have a big. Yeah. Is that what FTW means?
Yeah, for the win. Sorry,
So,
my dumb joke wasn't supposed to derail you that bad.
No, because I've seen FTW before, and I just don't know what it means. For the win. Okay, that's new. What does yeet mean?
It means to throw something exuberantly. So it started with a vine of a girl in a high school hallway, and she literally just I think it was a water bottle or something, and she just goes yeet, and then throws it in the middle and just throws it.
Okay. So yeet means to just hurl something.
So if you're yeeting something, you're just fucking tossing it. Yeah.
Two meetings today.
This has been the
memes, the meme corner.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where people come for their kids speak.
I heard someone at work call it a meme or whatever.
Yeah, or a meme.
I think she said meme.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. Anyway, it's brewed to have a big body at session strength with a moorish, juicy finish, and is single hopped with Citra to deliver bright flavours of fresh citrus fruits. Aroma and flavour: fresh navel orange, pink grapefruit, lime and orange zest, light resinous notes. Body is medium bodied, juicy and soft with a finish that dries only slightly. aftertaste, very light resinous bitterness, lingering notes of juicy orange and lime. Doesn't really have an... Oh, sorry. It's called Forever Wanted Togetherness. Gosh, that's deep. And it is...
Or just really sad.
Yeah. And it is 4.5%.
Like, and it's weak, so it's not even like you can drown that sadness.
Yeah. God.
I'm drinking another from Hofbrau Kaltenhausen, and this is the Edition Cervinia, which is based in Italy, I think.
Okay.
It is a farmhouse saison-ish thing. I had to Google around it because I can't read the Austrian. It is a solid 7.1%. Its malts note is 1 out of 5. It's spritzigkeit. It's bubbles.
Hold on. I was just going to nip to the loo, but I need to hear this Austrian.
Its bubbles are 4. Its bitre is 2 out of 5, and its fruitigkeit is... That's my Dutch. You can just hear it. It's not right. It's definitely not Austrian. Its fruitiness, I'm assuming, is a full 5. So 4 bubble, 5 fruit, 2 bitter, and 1 malt.
Bittore, I don't know. Exactly.
All right.
Pretty much all of the beers you've had from this box have had this have had the scales on.
Yeah,
you know, whether it's...
so these two are from a different brewery, but the other the other one also had those. I don't know if it's a bottling thing. I'm sure it's not a legal thing, but it must be like all the craft brewers have sort of jumped on board with this, or at least Oh no! It is very bubbly.
Oh, jeez.
That's a treat for you YouTubers. Yeah, I'm gonna let that settle.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
A good idea. I feel like I should wait for Lucy to come back before I describe my beer, but I'm not going to. I'm going to tell everyone what it looks like first. Look at the murk on this. Look at all that murk.
Yeah.
It's kind of this slightly off yellowy, orangey, almost egg yolk kind of colour.
That thing killed a bunch of people in Nicaragua in the 80s. That's how much of a murk it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a nice light nose to it, but it's kind of... I don't know, there's not much there, really. Kind of expect something bigger for a double IPA, especially with saying that it's been dry hopped with Galaxy, Mosaic, and Citra. I don't know about the 22 grams per litre, if that is a big amount, a small amount. I'm not really sure, but the nose is quite light. But in the flavour, that is just juice. It's all juice. Look at that murk, Lucy.
Oh,
murk.
That's just pure filth.
And it getting... What am I getting? I think the other beer kind of gave me a little bit sort of mango-y kind of flavours as well, along with that orange. And I'm thinking that maybe that's lasted a little bit with this, perhaps. It's giving me a light bitterness sort of towards the end. It's not massive. Getting a little bit of the alcohol come through. Not much at all, but just that slight hint towards the end. But it's full of fruity flavour, and again, not too stewy, but it's getting there. But it's kind of a bit, at least for me at the moment, a bit indiscernible, really. I can't quite pick any individual fruit out. It's just kind of this mash of sweet fruit. Yes. That's maybe how they made it. They just put it all in and they just mashed it all down.
So it's just not particularly tart, it's not particularly sweet, not like berry or melon. It's just kind of fruit.
I mean, yeah, there is a slight. It does edge more towards the sweeter side of things, but that's brought back down by that sort of that bitterness, and that sweetness is maybe a leftover element from the 8% as well. That sweetness kind of goes from a little bit fruity to a little bit more kind of alcohol-y sort of towards the end, just before the bitterness kicks in. But
it looks like juice, man.
It is super juice. But I may be able to pick things out more as I'm drinking it. So I'm
Feel free to
jump
interrupt us later once you've
Mm.
had some time to climb.
Absolutely. So Lucy, we'll jump to you and the Cloudwater.
Yeah, when I poured it,
there's like no head. It's more opaque and more orange juice like than Ben's. That's possible.
Yeah, because when I just got this out of the fridge, I knew it was Cloudwater, but didn't know what type of beer it was. And I poured it, and I was like, oh, there's no head on it. I looked back at it and was like, oh, there's no head on it. And then I smelt it, and it's got that lime zest, and I was like, is this a sour? Is this a sour? And I read it, and I was like, oh, it's not a sour. It's got lime in it. Yeah, it's a double dry hop pale ale. Because it smelt like that mojito beer that we had.
Oh, the mead-hito.
Yeah, the mead-hito.
Ah, yes.
That's what it smells like. Not as white as limey, but yeah, it's on there. It's got a little bit of fruit, a little bit of citrus on the nose as well. But yeah, I was like, it's like a sour. Doesn't taste like one though.
Okay.
It's got a lot of lime in it. You can definitely.
But not super tart?
It cuts through. No, but it's not tart.
So it's like the citrusy lime rather than like the soury lime.
For sure. No. It's still got that... I mean, it said on the can that it's moreish. It does have slightly dank, slightly malty, bready taste to it as well. The lime's quite nice in it because, yeah, it doesn't have that sourness to it, but it does have like that nice, refreshing... like bit of pep to it that you can taste the lime in. It's not too bitter on it. It's quite fruity. It's not bitter at all on the end, and yeah, it's not very hoppy. It's quite soft. It's quite smooth. It's not quite all the way juice, but it's not got a lot of carbonation in it. As you can tell, with very lack of head on it. So yeah, it is just like juice, but it still retains that beery quality, maybe from the malt, maybe from that little bit of moorishness. It's 4.5.
Okay.
So it's very light, but the body still, it's not thin. You're still getting like decent medium body. So
yeah,
which the can might have. Yeah, it even says medium body. So. Right. It's a weird beer to think about it. It looks like a sour, smells like a sour, but it's not a traditional pale ale. It's like an amalgamation of like so many different things, but it works. It's really good.
Excellent.
Nice.
So my beer's head has calmed down.
Quite a lot as well. It's good that it hasn't stuck around for ages.
Yeah, so I think that's actually probably a testament to the 4 to 5 bubbles. But like the carbonation is so strong that the head is disrupted by the other bubbles. Because it's still reasonably actually it's calmed down quite a bit. I'm getting a very similar, slightly limey nose off of it.
Yeah.
Something it's not quite floral, but it's like that sort of nose opening, not quite zesty, but somewhere between zesty and floral, that sort of hit of pleasantness. I think with the liminess. I don't know if that makes sense. If it doesn't, sorry, tastes I don't know how else to describe it. It's somewhere between zesty and floral. Like it reminds me of when I smell a floral beer, and it reminds me, I think probably because of the liminess of zestiness, and it's somewhere in the middle because it's not actually floral.
Saison, almost.
Yeah, well, it's a Saison farmhouse. That makes sense. I guess that's.
Oh, is it? Sorry, I I missed that amongst the German.
It's fine. You managed to get to what I was trying to say in a concise way based on my inconcise ways. So teamwork.
Hey!
Oh, that's interesting. So that liminess sort of comes and goes. Sorry, the cat is using the scratching post and this is distracting. I'm getting yeah. So the citrus is there. Maybe some other fruit. I'm actually surprised that the given how big it poured, I'm surprised it doesn't actually taste that bubbly after like a minute of sitting. It's definitely. I've actually think it has more than whatever it was like whatever the stats were, they were lower on the lower end. There's a bit of a multi backbone. It's not strong, but it's there, and I think that helps knit together all the other tastes. It definitely has that slightly tarty, bitter finish, sort of a little sweet. But it's offset by the sweetness, which I'm assuming is the 7% alcohol for the most part, such that it finishes kind of like a saison, but a little sweeter than I'm used to. Just sort of like it has that familiar finish, but then it's like, oh, it's actually a little sweet.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would say the 7% isn't super detectable until the finish, and just because having had enough saisons in my day, I'm like, oh, this is sweeter than I would expect given all the other tastes. It's a really well balanced beer in that respect. Once that sweetness fades, you get a taste of the malts, which is nice. I kind of wish they were more in the forefront before, because you kind of just lose them from the strength of the other things, and then it's like, oh, I guess this is a bit malty, right at the finish. But it's quite tasty. Yeah, that's basically all I need to say about this one for now.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I just want to make a quick correction on my beer. I said it wasn't really that. It is hoppy, and mixed that with like the nice limes there. It's pretty good. I think it's because the previous beer was just like so hoppy, in your face hoppy. Well, I didn't pick up on it straight away, but it's got a nice bit of hoppiness to it. Nice.
A good note to add as well. So I kind of, it would have been good to have done this in a slightly different order and gone off of the back of Lucy's beer as being an amalgamation of kind of different styles and things, because what I wanted to talk about this week was we just had Gamescom, where several games were shown off, several games were announced, and one that kind of caught my eye was a game called Disintegration, which was a first-person shooter where it's not a traditional first-person shooter. You're on a hover bike, so it seems interesting in the way that kind of like movement is slightly different, or at least perspective and how you view the battlefield and things are slightly different in that first-person shooter element. But it's also like a tactical strategy game, and you have a supporting squad with you, and you're giving commands to the squad to do certain things from this kind of overview almost. It's still a first person view, but you're kind of above the action, and you can kind of direct people where you want them, and to look at different enemies or target different enemies and approach different encounters in different kinds of ways. And from what's been shown, I thought that was really a really good example of a game kind of trying to mix in two different genres and trying to kind of get to two different things and pull them together to create something a little bit more unique. It's one of the things I really liked about Mutant Year Zero last year, that it had those kind of stealthy exploration kind of elements, and then it turned into a kind of a tactical turn-based game.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that actually these are the kind of things that are interesting to me at the moment. Games that kind of bring, that maybe you think are one genre, but bring in a few different elements from something else to give you quite a unique experience. And I wondered, just for you know, we're not going to spend long on this, but you guys might spend long because you might have to think about it a bit. But if you could kind of pick two different genres to kind of be put together in a game, what would you want to see? Are there kind of two things that really jump out at you that you think would fit really well that you haven't seen before? Or are there things that you have seen before and just have really good examples of games where you're like, this actually does these two things really well?
I've got one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go on, alright.
2D Metroidvania platformer mixed with a point-and-click adventure.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, okay.
And actually good, because when you're thinking about amalgamations, my mind to a game called The Fall. Don't know if you like played it.
Rings a vague bell.
This was,
look it up.
I think it came out in like 2014, 15, the first
Okay.
episode.
Ah, yes, the dead
Yeah.
times.
Yes, it had it was like a
I own
2D
it.
action platformer. Yeah,
Of course you
you
own
do. It's like a 2D action platform where you're playing like this AI. It's a really interesting story as well. But it's like you basically crash land on this planet, and does it ring a bell?
I think so. Is this the one where you have weird clones, or am I thinking of a different game with a similar aesthetic? I'm
You're
thinking
thinking
of a
of the
different game with a
Swapper.
similar
The
aesthetic.
Swapper,
I
yes.
think
Yeah.
you might be thinking of
Yeah.
this
Sorry,
one.
it's just
I think it came around at the same time.
they both had you were a character with a glowing face in a
Yeah.
2D platformer.
Yes.
Forgive me
Yes.
for
No,
misremembering
it's
which glowing face robot game you were thinking of from 2014.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway, so this glowing face, you don't make cloney things.
no, you crash land on this planet, and to cut it short, you're an AI. Your suit is an AI because basically the pilot crash landed on this planet, and the pilot's unconscious, and then the AI is alive, and the AI has to basically keep breaking down boundaries to allow her to get her pilot to safety. So it's like, usually like it's kind of, you know, who is it? Like Asimov, the Three Laws of Robots. Yeah. You're having to break these boundaries. Like, I have to put my pilot in danger in order to get past this thing, which will eventually make me get closer to my goal in helping him. And it's about keep pushing those boundaries. It's got like this. It's got a bit of combat in it. It's got like point and click sensibilities, and it's also a 2D kind of Metroidy in the fact that it's like, I'm solving these puzzles going back and forth rather than like traditional Metroid. But yeah, it was just an amalgamation of different genres, and it was. The second episode didn't turn out quite as I hoped. I was quite disappointed by it. I think it came out only last year. So
Really?
But the first episode's definitely worth it. And it ends on a cliffhanger, and if that was just it, the game, then it's like, yeah, great. Really good. Play the first episode. Because you probably have it free at this point.
Yeah.
Nice. And is that kind of what that game does? Is that kind of how you would mix 2D Metroidvania with point and click, or have you got something else in your mind of how that would actually kind of fit together?
Just play Hollow Knight.
There we go.
Yeah, just play Hollow Knight. Or what about a third-person puzzle game with stealth mechanics
Oh no.
and a bald-headed protagonist
In an open world?
in a semi-open, or just robot dinosaurs in an RPG?
I don't think these games exist, Lucy. I don't know. I think this is too far-fetched for what you're talking about.
Everything I dreamed of, yeah.
Oh man.
Cadence of Hyrule from this year is a pretty good example.
Like a mashup.
Yeah, music-based roguelike kind
I
of thing.
would like to see trying to think of which genre is best, but like, so JRPGs, like old school ones, have their like turn-based actions. even active time battle is just real time, but it's the same idea.
Gunpoint.
I would love to see different genres sort of take on that. Like whatever your action is, it's kind of in a
turn-based.
Yeah, so like you're interacting with the world, but everyone's sort of taking their turn. But you're abusing menus to do all your things. There's some depth to the types of things you can do, but not necessarily. So a bit like what was it? Undertale, a pacifist run of Undertale.
Okay.
Right. I'd like to see. I'm just trying to think of what type of game. So I'd like the idea of doing that. I just can't think of what type of game would be best. The other idea would be, of course, like a fighting game that was done with a turn-based JRPG. So like all the moves were the same, but how you had to do that and execute it would be the most painful and annoying but interesting way of doing fighting game rock, paper, scissors. Because everyone has then it becomes super strategy-based because you have the time to... It's about knowing what the counter move or whatever the right move is at the time, not being able to pull off the combo.
Yeah, there's a lot of games like that use that. Not necessarily what you said. Like, not many games are like Undertale.
Yeah,
use like turn-based in like different genres.
Yeah,
I mean, like the little bit I played of Transistor, that was very interesting in its turn-based stuff. I was actually playing more turn-based before my controller issues started, but like I think there's a game called Indivisible or something that's coming out later this year that uses like it's sort of like a 2D brawler, like kind of like Streets of Rage kind of thing, but it uses like turn-based stuff as well. So that seems cool. Yeah, turn-based card battlers this year are very much.
So it's actually a thing that I like card games to do more plotty things. So like I like SteamWorld Quest more than Slay the Spire.
Me too.
Because although I haven't really given
Quest
Slay the
ended.
Yeah. I definitely haven't given Slay the Spire enough time, which I don't think I've talked about it here.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it last week.
Okay, yeah. I know that in order to properly speak about it, I need to give it more time because that's the type of game it is.
Very in depth.
But like,
I want to play that Dicey Dungeons game. That looks cool.
Oh, that one looks really interesting.
Yeah, it looks like something you can finish.
There's a tabletop card game, like a physical card game, based on Street Fighter, which I saw a YouTube video on, which I'm sure you can just find it. Looks bonkers. In the exact opposite way we're talking about mashups, but it's like how to capture the move counter system of Street Fighter with cards, and it's complex, but it seems to kind of get the nuances of high level Street Fighter play with cards. But yeah, I can't think of anything, like nothing jumps straight to mind except for maybe wouldn't it be nice if a bunch of the open world games that came along had better plot. But that's just me being narrative. I don't think that's...
Speaking of cards, golf is very good. It's a golf game with cards. It's a very good puzzle game.
What's that on?
I'm sure it's on Android now. It's on iOS.
It's a mobile game.
Yeah, I spoke about it very start of this year, so it was a while ago. Yeah. But yeah, that's a very good game. Check that out. It's on Switch now as well.
Fucking Golf Peaks. I talked about that like 2 weeks ago.
Did you? Was I not here? Oh.
Did I talk about it?
Did you?
No.
Did you have that conversation in your head?
About it. I didn't talk about it
to yourself?
I mentioned it in an article I wrote about 3 weeks ago. Or 2 weeks ago, or whenever. Right? Yeah, because I played it whilst I was on holiday because it's a really good toilet game.
Yeah, it's great. I played it. I like rinsed it in one day because it was just so. I like that game. Yes, absolutely. So let's move on from our.
But you haven't said yours.
Mate, first-person shooter. I'm fucking well into Disintegration, mate. I want a first-person shooter with a tactical squad-based fucking element. They're making this game now. That's what I want.
I didn't know. I thought maybe you had a different answer, but that's cool.
I completely glazed over that announcement. Maybe I should look at it not because I want to play it. It sounds super boring to me, but just because I didn't know it had like all those things. I just heard like Is it from the creative Halo? And it's like,
It is, yeah. It is from the creative Halo. It looks
cool.
super kind of Destiny-ish as well.
I genuinely thought I conflated the two because I'd literally just heard that it was like, oh yeah, this is from the new base of Halo, and then I thought, oh, is this Destiny speed biking thing? And I thought there was no stop in my brain. Oh no, Lucy, they're talking about a new game, and is this Destiny?
Right.
Like, yeah, because I was like, is he at Bungie now?
Yeah.
But yeah, I stopped watching that, so I'm gonna check it out again because even though it's not for me, I didn't know it had that much depth for tactical. That sounds interesting.
Away from that, there's tons of things that kind of like I try and think about, thinking like, oh, I'd really like this. Oh no, that already does these kinds of things. So you know, like city management games, but with a slightly more sort of survival element. Okay, no, you've kind of got Banished that exists already. Or,
oh yeah, but you can have a new Banished.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You can have something else in different settings, different buildings and things, but it's going to hit those same sort of beats, really.
And if you abstract far enough away, then all games. Come on.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Wittgenstein's ruling is great.
Oh, games are done. This podcast's done. Let's finish. No, Adol, we're going to come to you next for what you want to discuss this week.
Fuck, man, I totally lost. What was I going to talk about?
I need to go again because I went to the gym and consumed a lot of water whilst I was there.
Good.
Excuse me.
PCAST.
Yeah, maybe we'll trim this part while I remember what I was about. I shared a link. Maybe it was about entitled gamers. What were they yelling about this time?
Oh, fucking everything, mate.
I literally can't remember.
It depends where it was shared, and this gives us a good segue into everyone go and join our Discord. You can find the link somewhere. Maybe I'll tweet the link out. I'll put it up on Instagram or something like that. And if you can join our Discord, you can find and join in the conversation. Read the articles that we post up about that kind of generally get the conversation going within the groups.
We also just shoot the shit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who enjoy beer, we do have a dedicated beer chat as well, which has a little bit of love every now and again when something comes up. You know, when we shared the news about Unbarred, them going into their own premises. So yeah.
I know what it was.
What was it, Adol?
It was so Apex Legends had some Iron Crown cosmetic items, whatever the fuck that means. But basically, they had new skins on the new expansion or whatever. But the only way to get them was by grinding an expensive loot box mechanism. That's it. Like, the only thing you do was grind on loot box moves.
Couldn't you buy them as well?
No. You could buy the thing to get the loot box, from what I recall. And the fans basically were like, I think this is too much loot boxy monetization. And so the response was, okay, fine, you can just buy the thing with the games in world currency, which of course can be bought for real money. Which I think it's so why I want to talk about this. One is the call and response, which I'll get to in a second, but also, fuck, have we lost the war against loot boxes and stuff and microtransactions when the solution is, fine, just pay us and we'll give you this fake thing for $10. Sure, fine, fuck. Look what you're making me do. You're making me sell you a thing and take your money. Like, 5 years ago, microtransactions were terrible. Now microtransactions are the solution against loot boxes. Shit, what has happened? But basically, people were unhappy. And the official, so the studio, Right. The studio said they had an apology that basically said they need to be better at letting their players know what to expect, and it's been a learning experience for them. But then a couple of their developers were like, "Fuck, I can't believe how much we got harassed about this," and so one of them, DK05, basically said things along the lines of, hey everyone, found the dick I was talking about. Guess what? I didn't even read your comment except for the first sentence and last. This kind of garbage doesn't warrant a reply, but lucky for you, I already made a comment about this earlier. Go find it. Which got, like thousands of negative votes on Reddit.
Oh no. Someone expressed their opinion.
Yeah,
and wait, people do
like,
that all the time.
But also, he was literally saying, hey, there was someone, I'm not even saying who made a comment that wasn't very good and also was already, like the gist of it I had already dealt with, so this was a fake complaint, or like a vacuous complaint because we've dealt with it. And then someone else was like, yeah, but he called someone a dick, not you in particular. So someone was trying to, like, defend him, and his response was, I think technically I was calling gamers dicks? I don't know. I had a spicy lunch. Feeling it. Which I really like. And then I've been in the industry long enough to remember when players were complete asshats to developers, and it was pretty neat. I forged a bunch of long-lasting relationships from back then. It would be awesome to get back there and not engaging with toxic people. Asking how high when a mob screams jump is hopefully a start.
It was Mass Effect 3 that put us in this mess. BioWare.
And then he's like, yeah. And then it sort of.
That was a win for the gamers, Lucy. Come on.
Yeah.
Gamers unite.
And then he even said, there's a wealth of data available on how monetization works in free-to-play games, and we ourselves have run tests by putting skins on sale in the store. The amount of people who spend is crazy low. Most of y'all are freeloaders, and we love that, and a change in price doesn't move the needle. And, of course, there's a bunch of other stuff, and they sort of... basically, one of his colleagues came in, and a bunch of people were angry, and in the end, the CEO apologized on behalf of Respawn, stating that they want an open, healthy relationship with our community.
Not with those fucking asshats, surely.
And these asshats... Well, so this is interesting, right? In the Redditor Coolout says the studio committed the ultimate cardinal sin. You got personal. We won't forget this, they wrote.
Oh, my God.
You've set a new tone for the kind of interaction we'll be having with you.
You know what's not personal? Sending death threats and threatening family members. That's not personal.
Not personal.
No.
The fucking entitlement is super real when they got some pushback and then couldn't even see that the pushback came from their moves, and that was the main tone. Like I looked a little bit of the Reddit, so those quotes and stuff were from a Polygon article, but like, I mean, I was literally just taking the quotes that they had taken. I'm stealing their sourcing, not their commentary.
Yeah.
But like, it's fucking bizarre to have. So one, fuck yeah, DK05, whoever you are, I'm glad you. No. You guys are dumb. It used to be better. That's all I'm saying. Like, at least be dumb. Like, at least don't call me. Like, the first big tweet that got a lot of hate was, "Fucking answered this." Like, I kind of wish it was a "let me Google that for you" link. But then to have the vitriol for, being obviously unimpressed with these people is so sad. It is one thing, right? But the worst part to me is you've somehow done us wrong with the way you've acted, and you've changed the playing field. Like, just the cognitive dissonance involved with not understanding that all the vitriol, this is like a smidgen, a tiny atom's worth of reflection, and suddenly the world has changed for these people. Like, how entitled do you have to be to think that one person saying, "It was nice when you all weren't assholes to me and my and my colleagues," means that suddenly committed, literally described a cardinal sin. I mean, it's more of the same thing.
It kind of sometimes, you know, yes, it's a bit. I mean, it's super entitled to kind of feel that there should be two different tones for you, and then how someone responds to you. But it's also like incredibly sad that people are this involved and this worked up about someone calling them, or someone calling not even them, not
someone else.
It was not directed. That they were calling someone else an asshat, for fuck's sake.
So the first big move.
It's not like he dropped a C-bomb.
It's even worse.
Absolutely. It's not like he was like, you user Barry 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 Apex cunt. You're a fucking cunt or whatever. Like,
I mean, you know, that'd be pretty funny if
like, here's all your game day. Yeah. Here's your kill death ratio. It's terrible.
Yeah, man. Oh shit! Stop playing the game.
God, that'd be so good if they started calling people out on their data.
Just do that. It's fine.
But
forget
like
GDPR. Just do it.
I mean, I thought it was. Sorry. Go on, Ben.
I was just gonna say, it's sad that people can't take this in the way that, like, you know, everyone's like, actually, yeah, this developer, he is firing back because we've been giving him shit. The community's been giving the developers shit. Okay, you know, monetization is a hot issue at the moment, and things could have been explained better. But people are going to lose their cool. Of course they are. And, you know, for a developer to come along and say, look, I've lost my cool and I've said a few things. People do that on the internet all the time with zero repercussion. Absolutely zero.
No,
and
not
because they've
gamers, but they're allowed because they've decided
heated game and moments.
They are the, I can't remember. There's been a lot of chat about people calling themselves like consumers and things like that as well at the moment. Like, just because you partake in the product doesn't mean you can still be a dickhead.
Yeah.
And that the people that have made the product have to act in a certain way. Like, everyone is still a fucking human.
That's why it goes above entitlement. It's not knowing how the world works.
Absolutely.
If I bought I don't know, iron and it didn't work and I took it back to the store that I bought it from, if I took it in half and started scolding people and throwing it about and being an arsehole,
plug it in and just burn them with it.
Lucy, I think to do the mapping right, it's what if I went to, and this is a North American specific thing, but what if I went to a Walmart superstore which does groceries and bought some bananas and they were overripe?
Yeah.
Does that give me the right to piss and shit in the eye? That's the kind of move that's going on here.
Yes. And if the cashier said, "Excuse me, sir, please don't do that. You're an asshat." Oh, you got personal.
You've committed the cardinal sin.
Excuse me, sir. Could you please put your penis away? Well, don't talk about my penis.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I mean, this seems to be happening, or at least it's reported more and more and more.
I think
it's a good thing because the narrative is shifted to this is stupid. So even when like all the reporting, like by giving coverage, it's not putting gamers in a good light. I think the big problem is, like, I think, these people just need to understand that if you want a free game, so like, the why I wanted to read sort of that handful of quotes is, like, if you don't understand basic, you don't understand why he said this, which was, we've crunched the numbers, and, like, 7 of you are spending money on these things.
Yeah.
And the rest aren't. And we're cool with that. But guess what?
Because he said freeloaders in a sarcastic manner. It's like,
but he was like, "But we're cool with you being that." But it's like,
because you're playing the game.
It turns out in order for all y'all to have this game for free, someone has to pay our bills. And I get that Apex is made by a studio owned by EA or what is it? Yeah, they're Respawn
Yeah, yeah.
owned by them, right?
Yeah.
So like EA makes like billions or whatever, so it's kind of hard to swallow. But there is a lot. So like maybe that line isn't where Respawn or whatever is claiming because they need to appease the profit gods, but they also need to keep the lights on, and a lot of this is where the light. And when and I think it's very prescient and like interesting that he bothered, or he or she, I should say, I'm sorry, I don't know what gender this developer is. DK
all we know is DK is a legend.
Yeah, Donkey Kong
all the
05
praise deserves a raise.
Yeah.
Stack
But like
Vince,
they went out of their way to say,
DKs.
you know what? I get that you're arguing the price is shitty, but actually, the people who actually spend the money on this type of shit, the price doesn't impact. Like we've done the data crunching, so, and they've already apologized. I think this is the key thing: is they already started with, "We did this wrong, so you can just buy the thing if you want the thing," and then they said, the people who actually like. You're all up in arms about the idea of grinding of the loot box, but actually the people who use the loot, who look for these things, it doesn't matter how much, like they'll just do it. And I hate to break it to you, but we are in the world of unfettered capitalism, and so this is a perfectly reasonable thing to say, which is, why wouldn't I extract more money from the people who will pay them more money, especially when most of the consumers aren't doing this?
Yeah.
And it's like the thing we've been mentioning for years is fuck you, it's cosmetic. Like these aren't game impacting things. I get that there's a social exchange with where not having the newest greatest thing in Fortnite. Like I know that I've read stories about kids being teased in high school or whatever for having the default skin. So I'm not trying to minimize that, but I am also saying that this is
stupid. Sorry, it's all stupid.
Yeah, I mean this is the problem.
Sorry.
As soon as you start acknowledging the layers, you're like, yeah, it turns out man is just a really complex animal with an overdeveloped brain. Because if it was something magic like with a soul, or we were rational beings above animals, none of this shit would happen. This is because we're broken things. We're just evolution isn't perfect, and this is the result. Sorry. No one should care about this shit, but they do.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's like, I don't care about. I will go back to the example Deus Ex Go. This is the only time I've ever had a discourse with a developer being upset about something in the game. When it was a free daily challenge.
Yeah.
Free daily challenge on top of the game, so they were still updating it every single day. Well, not every single day, whatever. They're still putting some work into it. But it's like it changed from a formula where it's like, oh, you could try it numerous amount of times, and there was like, oh, actually, let's try and get some money out of this. Let's change it so that you can only attempt it 3 times before you have to pay for coins, and then you can revert.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was a daily ritual of mine. I played it every day, and I was like, you've put this in, and I was like, I just politely on Twitter, Devin's like, this has changed the way the game is. It's no longer. It's going against what made the game fun, like trial and error. And they were like, no, try it. We feel probably just marketing speak. Nevertheless, they engage in the Discord. I was like, okay, I'll try it. Tried it for a day. I was like, you know what? Nah,
Not for me.
Never played it again. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation.
Right.
And that's
you
it.
don't like what they did with their fucking thing.
Yeah.
Stop doing.
Move on. Move on. And this was something I played every day.
With your fucking choice.
Yes.
That is capitalism. That is what you're claiming is important because you're trying to invoke the rights of the consumer. But the rights of the consumer don't trump the rights of the producer.
No.
The producer can do whatever they want, even if it affects their bottom line. And then what happens is people leave. And when they do, that person fails. But what doesn't work is continuously buying the thing and then whinging about it, because that's not how capitalism works.
Yeah, because
that's how ass-hattery works.
I'm sure people who I'm probably not the only one who played it every day. Maybe people bought coins for it and stuff like that. I just thought, you know what, that's not me. I don't want to put any more money into this game. I would have been happy to in a novel way. I bought DLC or something like that. They deserve all the money.
You used the product how you wanted to use the product.
Exactly.
And then when it stopped doing that, you left and found other products.
Yeah, and it was
back
a
to
daily
PUBG or
part of my it was a daily part of my ritual. Like, I'd wake up and play that. Come home from work, play that. It hasn't killed me. Stop playing it. I think about it now, and you know what? I only have fond memories. It's like,
because you stopped when you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they made something that I wasn't happy with, and it was like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah, and the what we've been talking about with Apex Legend hasn't quite, or at least I haven't seen that it's quite reached the levels that, say, like the Ublitz developers had got with the with the vitriol. There, we haven't quite got to.
You know, I'm so happy about the Ublitz thing. They
with things
didn't
like
apologize.
With things like death threats and things like that, we're not quite at that kind of level. But people. There is no fucking excuse for being, for just being fucking polite to people. There's no excuse for being an asshole. It just someone has put time into. Oh yes, okay, fine. They've been paid for a job to create a product. That doesn't mean you can just give them shit when something about that product doesn't align with what you think it should do. Yes. And then when someone when someone has a very human moment and they react to to other things that they've seen, and even in a very light kind of way, which is what this is.
Yeah. And also the Ublitz thing was the same, right? Like, it was like slightly sarcastic, but you could tell the tone wasn't go fuck yourself.
Absolutely.
Because it's I've been following Ublitz for ages. Like, it's time to use that. They are like that. They are they're sarcastic and everything they do. They have that kind of tongue in
their apology. They were like, "Oh, we're used to we do this type of communication, and maybe we fucked up because we didn't realize that some of you people wouldn't have been fans beforehand." I'm like,
No, because it's like you're speaking to the people who actually care about the game. A bunch of asshats from the internet saw, oh, this is the next latch I'll do about the Epic Games Store. And then they're like, yes, like flies on shit. Like, yeah, let's go attack this.
Yeah. And I think this opens up a larger conversation about bandwagoning and harassment and
you see it everywhere. They have nothing better to do. It's like I go on a random YouTube video, gave Days Gone a bad review because it's not a great game anyway. It wasn't even a bad review, middling to average review. And they're like, oh, this is the person who doesn't like men because they gave Days Gone a bad review.
What?
Yeah.
How does...
And they follow these people. They follow these people to the ends of the universe. To they could be the most obscure YouTube channel with 2 views, and they will find them. They will find them, and they will downvote, and they will saying, this is the person that did that, and it's like, oh my god.
But even then, watching people just sit there and watching the what was it called, opening night live with Jeff Keighley, the Gamescom kind of show that they had where they revealed a few games and things. Watching it on YouTube through I can't remember who it was, so I think I was watching the IGN feed of it, and just the comments were like, this is shit, bring this, and then obviously fucking hundreds of them just scrolling up constantly.
Right,
all of them, almost all of them were just shit giving, and none of it was like, this is really interesting, what does everyone else think about this? It was just constant vitriol.
What's even worse is when they're commenting on another kind of thing that's just completely different.
Yeah,
I think a good example was when, remember that guy got done for plagiarism at IGN?
Oh,
the Dead Cells review.
Yeah.
And then, that was bad, don't get me wrong. But they were downvoting and commenting on, I'm sure it was the Flipping Death review, because I was just watching the video review. And it's like, you know, the likes and dislikes are just right there when you open the video.
Yeah.
I had like so many more dislikes or stuff like that, and it's like, hold on, this game can't possibly be bad. I've played it. It's like, and the people were just like, you can't spell IGN without plagiarism.
Fucking.
It's just like, this is a completely different game. What are you doing? You're.
Let's finish this conversation there for this.
Yeah, I mean,
week.
No, we have to end on something more lighthearted.
So I think
Beers.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I will say this though, which is why I thought this was interesting, is because it was kind of refreshing, even if ultimately the CEO had to say, like, "We want to be friends with you." The guy, it doesn't sound like the DKO5 got fired.
Good. It should be given a
actually, yeah,
gold medal.
So I wanted to bring this up, not because I mean we've had these rants before, and
He should get free parking space,
we
reserved
haven't
parking
had-
space at the studio.
yeah, what hasn't happened is having a developer fucking be like, "No, actually, y'all suck." And I remember a time when you
People
didn't-
have, and then they get fired.
Yeah, so I'm saying like this has been pretty blatant, and it was clearly like several comments over time. And it doesn't sound like this person lost their job.
Yeah, yeah. If you
I'm
host
hoping-
a forum on 8chan, you keep your job.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping this is a bit of a turning point.
Shout
where,
out to Mark.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? All these developers who call these games as like asshats and, you know, freeloaders and whatever, they will still buy their game. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't have to do any PR at this point.
It's 'cause they're all fucking.
They're all
like,
sheep.
top-
They'll be like, oh,
asshats,
yeah,
yeah.
I can buy Apex Legend gun. It's like, yeah, I'll do that too. Yeah, I want to squad
Well, I
up
mean,
with
that's
me.
the
Yeah,
problem.
I'm
I
going
mean,
to download
the
this
reason
game,
why
yeah.
they're pissed is because they want to have shiny thing for free, or for like an hour's worth of work, and they didn't get to do that.
Yeah, Vince coming
Well-
out just it doesn't make sense. It's like, it's not going to affect your bottom line. People can still buy the game.
Yeah.
The only way to make sure people don't buy your game is to have Randy pictured as your CEO. And that's, if you really don't want to sell your game, you
But
do
also,
that. Otherwise,
I
you can
actually
say whatever the
don't
hell you want.
think that many people are woke enough to.
No, people are
avoid
like, I'm not
online.
buying this game. Because
Well, but I think I mean, the initial reviews were like, it's kind of just like Borderlands 2 again, which I thought would be good, but also gaming has evolved. Like, I think a lot of it has to do with. So I think there'd be a lot of
game's out
turncoat
soon, isn't it?
people.
Oh yeah, there always is. Wasn't it like, oh, we're going to boycott like buying Call of Duty and
Yeah,
or
they
playing Call of
didn't.
Duty?
Oh, again, but
Yeah.
but
When they
Borderlands,
turn
Borderlands
off or
3 is
something.
now an Epic exclusive as well, isn't it? So
Yeah, so they're
there's
losing
that
their.
to work with.
Yeah,
too.
I think there's multiple things
Oh,
going on with
I
that
didn't
game.
really hear much pushback, and I bet you're not going to hear any pushback about Oddworld either.
No,
You're not going to
no.
hear any pushback.
I know it
Because
does
Lorne
seem to
Lanning
be
is a
very,
god, and
very
he's great.
developer specific,
Yes.
and I think it's very easily it's people that can be easily targeted because there's definitely some kind of conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat on. There's definitely some group of people behind the scenes pulling the strings and going, let's now target these people. Let's now
Oh,
talk
there
about this. Let's now do
definitely
this. I mean,
I
Gamergate
actually
existed
think-
for a fucking
yeah.
reason,
Yeah.
and it was driven by definitely like 4 or 5 people who orchestrated the whole
There
fucking
was,
thing.
there was an interesting.
They've not gone away.
Sorry, no, they haven't. There was an interesting article on, was it The Verge, just talking about Gamergate and like how like teachers at university are like, oh, we're having to like change our teachings because we're actually having to unteach these radicalized
Yeah.
what were children now, and it's like, that just speaks to a bigger issue. It's like, yeah, a lot of kids are getting their education from the good old internet these
Fucking
days.
hell.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not a light-hearted place to finish it.
No.
Let's talk about the beers that we've drank
Can we talk about ooblets?
this
Like,
week.
things dance. There's,
Mate,
like,
next week we talk about ooblets because everyone dances in it and they do.
Yeah.
They signed to Epic and the character did the fucking Fortnite dance, which I've forgotten the name of, but it's all about your hands going
Last-
everywhere.
Which one? So I mean, one of the problem. Yeah, no, but
That one.
that's not. Well, it's not Fortnite because Fortnite just rips off dances from the pop culture, and then
They
That's
ripped off
very
the whole game, mate. So,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean,
any-
yeah, I'm just saying, like,
Let's not get into this. Let's not get into this now. I've
We
got to
love
go. I
Epic.
really have to go for a
Epic.
wee.
Okay, Epic, just send that money to my door.
So, beers this week after Lucy has just received a boatload of cash.
Yeah.
Beers this week. From me, 2 good beers. I think I'm going to go with the Dry and Bitter and Verdant collaboration this week. The Boundary Double IPA was, I think the more I drank it, it felt a little bit more soupy the more I kind of went through it. And actually maybe a smaller can would have kind of satisfied me, perhaps. You know, in that 440ml can, it was maybe a bit much, and without being able to discern a flavour, it all kind of just felt a bit sort of soupy and murky, and, you know, it was juicy, but it was kind of an indescribable kind of juice. Whereas the Dry and Bitter Verdant collaboration, you could pick out those flavours. You know, I got the orange straight away. The mango came in after time. It had this lovely bitterness to it. This nice piney dankness that seeps in with it as well. Really well made beer. And the Boundary beer was a well made beer. It wasn't as, you know, I'm saying it's got that soupiness to it. It wasn't a horrible flavour at all, but it was kind of just juice bomb. That's it. And there wasn't much to kind of pick out from that. I'd have it again, absolutely, but not right now.
Yeah,
so
Boundary beers tend to be like that, I find.
Yeah, okay. So
good.
yeah, the Dry and Bitter
Good
Verdant collaboration,
like
How Magnets Work, was my pick this week. Lucy, how about you, the 2 you had?
Yeah, the Cloudwater is a really interesting kind of beer. And you know what? I'm gonna give it to that one. It's like Deya. I know what they're doing. Like, it's just another one of their very well made, well balanced IPAs. It's very fruity, nice bit of bitterness at the end, very soft, very drinkable. But yeah, the Cloudwater, it looked like a sour, it smelled like a sour. It had that lime zest really things up. Like, had a nice. It just kept the beer fresh all the way through. Nice bit of hoppiness as well, but it still had that, you know, those pale ale sensibilities, backbone of a pale ale. So, just in terms of interest, I'm going to give it to Cloudwater. Maybe on another, you know, I'd probably reach for the Deya quicker in terms of something that did something new and interesting. Yeah, the quickly get its name. Forever Wanting to Get. Apart from its name, which is deeply depressing, that is my pick for this week.
Nice. Ado, how about you?
So both our brews were from the Hofbrau Kaltenhausen. I really liked both of them. They were interesting and not sort of the standard thing. So I'm really glad that Michael sent them, because it's not something. I don't think either of the tastes would be easily found here in Bristol. I'm actually going to go for the Keller beer over the Edition Cervinia. I thought it was a more well-rounded beer. I mean, I did learn more about an entire style of beer that I didn't know about. But it just, I mean, it just worked a little better. The Saison had some sort of sharper edges where things kind of just sort of had odd transitions, and it was interesting, but kind of forgettable. While the Keller beer was light, interesting, but like I can still. It's the second I had it first, and I can still sort of conjure up. Oh yeah, these are the things I liked about it. I don't know if I would like rush to buy either of them again. I personally prefer a little more boisterous beers, but like. If I was, especially if it was like it was like 11 to 12:30 on a hot day, and I was like, I shouldn't have a beer, but maybe I'll have a cheeky session-y something. This is exactly what I'd be looking for, just something that sort of was refreshing, light in alcohol, but also light in taste. Like, so the Keller beer sort of just runs away with it because it sort of has a circumstance and did what it did. It's sort of in a more consistent way.
Nice. Good.
Cool.
So, if you want to talk to us about our beers, I am at Nova_47 almost everywhere. Lucy, How do people talk to you?
I am indescribably juicy. And I'm Juicy Loose 9 everywhere, pretty much.
Nice. Adol, how do people get hold of you?
I'm at the Omniarch on all of the things except Twitch, which I don't use anyway. Oh, also Switch, but like message me on those things and get my Switch.
The Twitch and the Switches.
Yeah. If it ends at itch, unless it's itch.io, which doesn't end in it, so I guess that's okay. So the rule still stands. It just has itch in it.
Play Pear Quest on itch. It's free.
Okay.
Pear.
I'll talk about it next.
And if you
as in the fruit or a pair of things?
Yeah, as in the fruit.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
As well, you can reach us all at tankedupcast@gmail.com, tankedupcast on Twitter, tankedupcast on Instagram. We often share screenshots and shots of our I didn't take pictures of my beer this week. I'm the worst. I totally forgot. You can see all of the other beers from this episode if you don't look at the YouTube, which is fine, on our Instagram, as well as all kinds of interesting updates on beers we might be drinking or playing.
Yeah, good. And remember, you can go to outoflives.net, where we are hosted, where other articles are put up, where other podcasts are published. I've usually got something that goes up almost every week, but I've been so busy with work that I haven't had anything for a couple of weeks. There's a lovely draft about Gamescom on my phone that's going to sit there and probably never actually be released because I'm just far too busy.
That happens,
Yeah, absolutely.
Sucks when that happens.
Oh well, there's loads of other stuff at outoflives.net that you can go and read, catch up on, and listen to. So that's it for us this week. We have been tanked up. Bye-bye.
Bye. Enjoy your bank holiday. If you're in the UK, then you're in a... Bye.
Wait. There's a bank holiday coming up?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know this country very well. Also, ciao.
www.outoflives.net